Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So I have been talking about Ondo over the last couple weeks, and it is because Ondo is becoming a big blue chip player in terms of tokenization. I mean, when we think about what's going to be happening over the next couple years, we are going to see traditional asset classes and markets moving on-chain in a very quick way. In fact, it's going to be faster than what most people actually perceive, because when we think about who's already participating in terms of tokenization, it's players like BlackRock, which have trillions and trillions of dollars of assets under management. They are some of the largest asset management companies out there. Wall Street themselves are moving on chain as well. We've been hearing from big players like Robinhood as well that at the end of the day, the stock market will move onto the blockchain to achieve 24/7 trading. I mean, things are already happening in a much bigger way than we ever thought possible. And a lot of this has happened in just the last few months alone. But we look at those blue chips, we look at the underlying networks that are being adopted in a big way. Ondo is one that's been growing significantly, and I'm gonna be really talking about things that you might be missing if you don't look under the hood. So number one, let's actually take a look at tokenization. So recently we've been noticing that RWA, the total RWA value itself on chain, has been growing significantly. We are now nearing $20 billion. Now this is interesting because if we go back to the beginning of the year, we were nearing about 15.7 billion. And since then, we saw a big jump to the upside of almost $20 billion. If we go back to the beginning of 2024, we were at about $8.6 billion. So RWA tokenization is growing rapidly. But right now, we're still just drops of water in a bucket, because we know that these markets and traditional finance, it's not valued in billions. If we really think about it, it's not even valued in trillions. There's quadrillions of dollars out there that will be affected by tokenization. But also the underlying networks themselves have about $9.6 billion worth of that total RWA value tied to them. Now, you're not going to see Ondo on here. No. You're going to see Ondo under stablecoins, like the Ondo US dollar yield itself, which has about almost $600 million tied to it. The net asset value, we could see that as well. And then we could see the amount of holders, which is over 14,900, closing in on 15,000. Now we could also see a few stats down here in terms of the networks that this is included on, in terms of like tokens, for an example. We could see all those tokens. But what's crazy about this is, how much this has been growing. If we really think about the new year, all right, we were at about roughly 54 million, right? We're now over almost $600 million. Now, this does fluctuate quite a bit, as you guys can see. Like towards like the middle of February, we're at about 388 million roughly. But this has been growing. And even in terms of like the amount of holders, it's up about almost 16% in the last 30 days. And then, of course, we do have the short-term US government bond fund. Now, this over the last 30 days did lose about 9.12%, but we're still around like $390 million here after hitting a nice top, in terms of like a local top, if you will, back in the end of February of $444 million. Again, only about 58 holders here, but I do think that we're going to start to see a lot more growth of these products very soon. But these are just two things that Ondo has tied to it. Outside of this, you wouldn't really know what Ondo is doing. And you might be wondering, well, Nick, what are you talking about? Let's go over here. So there was a recent report from Masari Crypto. Now, this is actually in a paywall. I'm not going to be paying Masari to actually look at this report. But we do have from Ondo. Ondo is laying the groundwork for tokenized finance. Masari Crypto's latest report highlights that if RWAs, Ondo Finance, and broader institutional participation continue to gain momentum, This could mark one of the most significant shifts in financial markets to date. At Ondo, we are committed to leading this transformation of global finance. The report details how Ondo Global Markets is bringing publicly traded securities on chain through tokenized stocks, ETFs, and bonds, and recognizes Ondo Chain as a crucial part of this vision, enabling tokenized RWAs to scale. It emphasizes that large financial institutions will need to enter this space or risk being left behind, a shift Ondo is actively enabling by partnering with the world's largest institutions and building the infrastructure they need to participate. And yeah, listen, every single institution out there must enter this space because we know that this is the future. If they do not enter this space, if they are not tapping into this new technology, they will simply be left behind. That's it. But this is the secret behind Ondo, this Ondo Global Markets. A lot of people actually don't look into this because number one, it's not available in the US. So if you are in the US, you won't actually be able to see this website. But here we have Ondo Global Markets, Wall Street meets DeFi. Ondo Global Markets is a platform designed to bring traditional public securities on-chain with tokens that are freely transferable and usable in DeFi. Now we have thousands of RWAs, one platform. Buy, sell, and trade thousands of tokens backed one-to-one by traditional stocks, bonds, and ETFs. This is basically Wall Street 2.0. We could see every single publicly traded stock on-chain here. This is basically how we get to Wall Street 2.0. This is how we have Wall Street living on-chain, being traded 24/7, 365. I mean, this is truly something remarkable. And this is exactly why Ondo is becoming that next level player around this market. I think everyone should be paying attention to what Ondo is doing. Now, over here, we actually have the full breakdown of Ondo Global Markets, and we have the overview. At its core, Ondo Global Markets is a tokenization platform that enables investors outside of the US to gain on-chain exposure to thousands of US publicly traded securities, including stocks, bonds, and ETFs. Now, again, they're all backed one-to-one by an underlying asset like a public stock and will be freely transferable like stablecoins outside the US. By providing tokenized exposure to these assets, Ondo Global Markets brings the transparency, efficiency, and accessibility enabled by blockchain technology to institutional-grade finance. Now, we do have down here the participants around this. You have individual investors, traditional broker-dealers, asset managers, and other issuers, existing crypto-focused platforms, including wallets, protocols, and exchanges. And of course, we do have those features. Broad access to thousands of RWAs, global 24/7, 365 availability, instant minting and redemption, full liquidity, built-in access to margin, on-chain financial services, additional yield opportunities, freely transferable tokens, institutional-grade investor protections, income from securities lending, and comprehensive APIs. And they're already solving all of the issues which do plague traditional markets, which we are all aware of. But at the end of the day, this is basically how we get to the overall Wall Street 2.0 vision that Ondo does have. But on top of that, yeah, we do have to mention the Omnichain network for RWAs, aka Ondo Chain. This is their own network that's tapping into the institutional grade side of things that enables all of this to become a reality. And yes, you could tap in to those other applications, assets, ecosystems all through the Ondo chain. This is why it's omni-chain. This is going to be a multi-chain, basically ecosystem, if you will, where we do see the convergence of TradFi with DeFi. And of course, when we look at all of the names behind Ondo, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Wellington Management, Wisdom Tree, ABN AMRO, Ion, McKinsey and Company. I mean, guys, these names are not small-time names. We are seeing traditional financial giants tapping into Ondo, building out a relationship with Ondo to tap in to the future of Wall Street, the future of everything. We know at the end of the day, everything is moving on chain, and we know it's not going to stop at billions. We know it's not going to stop at just, hundreds of billions or even tens of trillions. We know that this market is going to be so much bigger because everything will live on chain. It's already happening. It's already becoming a reality. And even if we look at some of the weekly breakdowns from Ondo Finance themselves, because they do these weekly roundups, we could see that tokenization is not slowing down. In fact, it's actually speeding up. We have global institutions are integrating digital assets into their core business strategy. Here's the key developments that you should know that recently happened. Clearstream to offer crypto custody to its institutional clients. Clearstream, one of the world's largest post-trade firms, plans to offer crypto custody services to its institutional clients via a sub-custody arrangement with Crypto Finance Group. Now, when we think about this, right, we are starting to see the players like Clearstream mentioning that offering crypto custody is the next step on Clearstream's journey to digitize financial markets, because we know everything starts with custody. The institutional grade regulatory compliant solution offers clients easy and quick access to new asset classes while enjoying the best features of our trusted and established post-trading systems. Then, of course, we do have Abu Dhabi state-owned investment fund MGX invest $2 billion into Binance. Again, this is the first institutional capital the exchange has accepted since its founding in 2017. Also, Calistone predicts 135 billion annual savings from investment fund tokenization. Again, just showing us that tokenization is becoming a much bigger piece of the overall market outside of crypto as well. We also have Cantor Fitzgerald selects Anchorage Digital and Copper to launch its Bitcoin lending business. Now, Cantor Fitzgerald, whose former CEO Howard Lutnick is now the U.S. Commerce Secretary, has selected the only federally chartered digital asset bank, Anchorage, the Switzerland headquartered Copper, as its custody partners to launch its Bitcoin lending program. What we are starting to see here is institutional exposure and access to this market in a safe, compliant way. This is how we start to see a tsunami of money entering the space from the institutional side. And then also over here, from President Trump's crypto conference address to the UK government's push for tokenized debt, governments around the world are making long-term digital asset development a policy priority. We will make America the Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. In the first address by a sitting president at the crypto conference, President Trump spoke virtually at the Digital Asset Summit in New York, reaffirming support for crypto and the next generation of financial technology. The Security and Exchange Commission's Crypto Task Force hosts the first crypto roundtables, which, by the way, when we think about what the SEC is doing, we got to think about what their overall agenda actually is. It's all about crypto trading, crypto custody, tokenization. Guys, tokenization is the big focus here because they know the convergence that is happening between TradFi and DeFi. But if we go back over here, we have the US dollar stablecoins can drive trillions into US treasuries. In a recent interview with CoinDesk, Bo Hine, the executive director of the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, says USD stablecoins can drive trillions into US treasuries over the next several decades. We are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime, and as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the US dollar the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. And again, the list goes on. When we look at what's going on here, it's actually insane. The UK government invites fintechs to discuss the tokenization of government debt. We also have Nomura decrease settlement time by issuing a tokenized bond. This is a Japanese bank that's executing a $20 million tokenized bond issuance on the blockchain while using traditional banking settlement rails. The settlement risk for digital bonds were successfully reduced, which represents a major breakthrough. The project was also an opportunity to deepen our understanding of digital currencies as a new settlement tool that will enhance user convenience. Again, institutional adoption and tokenization is heating up in a massive way, and you gotta put a spotlight on players like Ondo that's already working with some of the largest players out there. And like I said, if we scroll back down, you can see them all here. This is no joke. This is absolutely no joke, because when we think about what's going on here for Ondo, if I was an institutional player and I wanted to tap into tokenization, or I wanted to, partner up with a big player like, for example, Ondo, I would be looking at the players behind the scenes. All right, well, they're working with BlackRock already, with the Build Fund. All right, they're working with these other big players like, For example, Axelar and Archix and the biggest chains around this space. I didn't even mention the big banks. I didn't even mention PayPal. When we think about what's going on here, the reputation behind Ondo is extremely significant, but you got to look past what's actually on rwa.xyz and think about how big this Ondo global markets actually is, because they are bringing in so many big named stocks, bonds, and ETFs on chain through this platform. This is what's setting Ondo apart from the rest in terms of those big tokenization hype giants that we know of in this space. And a lot of them don't even have, money tied back to them. They're just giving us promises. Ondo is actually delivering, which is why I do think that everyone should be paying attention to what Ondo is becoming. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.